did this book called Necronomicon and this book called Providence.
I sent Eric
That's
the
like,
the last page with the burn victim. He's
oh
like,
yeah.
I'm like, Eric,
the lady,
warning.
the doctor.
Yeah, I'm like, Eric, warning, do not read Moon Knight 188. This is the last page.
Oh man. Yeah, if you don't like burn victims, don't do it.
There we go. All right, welcome everybody. This is the Marvel Minute. I am Brandon, as always, joined by Trevitt. Trevitt, how we doing, man?
Not bad. Not bad.
And we are bringing you guys Moon Knight 188 today. So I was actually surprised there have been 188 issues of Moon Knight in total. So that's a rather higher legacy number than I thought we would have. But anyway, we'll get into the creative team here. We're gonna do a little blurb and spit the bit about this issue. Let you know what we thought about Moon Knight, which beat out. What did it beat out?
Master Kung Fu and Gwenpool.
Yeah.
Was it Gwenpool?
No, I didn't put Gwenpool up for that one.
Oh, Daredevil. Daredevil.
Yeah, there we go. So Moon Knight edged those two out, and that's rather surprising. But anyway, Moon Knight, the superhero crazier than your craziest uncle, is back and could literally be up to almost anything. So while we don't get many actual answers about what our title hero is up to this issue, we get a little bit of an intriguing story moving forward. And again, a whole lot of crazy. So yeah, we start this issue of Moon Knight, and you know, just because almost anything can happen in a Moon Knight issue, I 100% thought this was Moon Knight at the start of this book. So I'll send that out right, just right out front. You know, I'll say that because he even changes his look once in a while too. You know what I'm saying? You never really know what you're gonna get. But no, we're at the Ravencroft Asylum, and we're dealing with this lady for almost the entirety of the issue called Dr. Emmett. Do we even ever get more of a name than that? Like, they just always call her Dr. Emmett, don't they?
Yeah, just Dr. Emmett. She was I maybe at the dinner party, I can't remember, but she was in the last run. She was Moon Knight's doctor.
Moon Knight's psychologist or whatever, you know, the crazy people doctor is.
She thought wasn't a doctor.
Yeah. So you're seeing this interview go down with this person who's only referred to as Patient 86, which we'll get to later. But who at this point comes off as talking a whole bunch of nonsense about how he's seen God, and he knows it's real, and he feels sorry for everybody that, you know, doesn't believe, because he's seen the answer for real, for true. And the people he killed didn't see things his way, basically, so he had to burn them for, basic crazy logic. He also has some creepy ass burnt hands. So I don't know if he can start this fire directly out of his hands, and I think we'll get a hint to that as to later. But everyone just thinks he's kind of like a pyro dude right now.
Yeah. That's when I knew it wasn't Moon Knight, when he was like, I had to burn them, and his hands were all burnt.
Yeah. That was kind of my first hint too. Sorry to take a sip of coffee there. But anyway, yeah, we go back to Dr. Emmett's office, and you see this janitor mention how she should, leave the office. It's goddamn late, and you're crazy if you're still here. But anyway, she's just going through old files of this guy she interviewed. Recapping her case because this has really piqued her interest. And she's just deep diving into these docs here. Through a little dot connecting, she thinks back to how this case all reminds her of what she calls the Spectre conundrum. And obviously she's referring to, Moon Knight and what she dealt with him in the past. Now we get a big title page there. Double page spread.
Nice. And I like the design. The purple.
Yeah, it looks like it's all Moon Knight is spelled in moon glow, basically. It's pretty sweet looking.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, we kind of check in on this dinner party that Dr. Emmett goes to, and you can kind of see she's not super well respected by her colleagues. She's kind of getting some shit from this one older looking doctor dude. They're obviously at a birthday party with these cheesy hats they're wearing. And yeah, I don't know. That's really all we get about that. We move scenes again to just her going back to her apartment, and you see her robe is hung up like a Moon Knight thing. Is that on purpose? Did she do that, or is that just coincidental? Because it is by like
That's on.
Kenoshu and a bunch of Egyptian pictures and stuff and Moon Knight stuff.
That's up. That's part of her obsession with Mark Spector. So I mean,
Yeah,
I think that's one of the robes he made when he was in the hospital. Like, did you?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You just kept it. It's not his actual suit or anything, or yeah.
No,
Okay.
I don't think so.
So yeah, we just see her all pissed off later on that night, you know, crashing, going to bed. You see she's again obsessed with this whole Moon Knight idea, and takes it back with her to the hospital the next day. She's having this discussion with patient 86, kind of diagnosing him with this form of bipolar, and breaks down what's happening to him in a way that he and basically we, the reader, can also understand a little bit better in case, you know, you're unfamiliar with what bipolar is really. You know what I'm saying? Like people go through different phases and steps pretty quickly. And you know, usually she's trying to connect this to a trigger and get him to remember what made him, you know, start really freaking out and not remember his past so well. I don't know where are my notes at here. Patient 86, basically, you know, what we get out of this is he used fire as an answer to his pain from a rough upbringing, and following traumatic events. You know, the shrink actually quotes at one point, it was something he could control that would simultaneously control him. So she thinks, like, you know, with this reveal and their discussion, she's hit a mini breakthrough, kind of, you know, kind of gets her excited. Am I saying anything wrong here? Because it's hard to describe what's going on here when you're talking about it. Okay.
No. That's she thinks, because, you know, Mark kind of cured himself a little bit with her fucked up treatment. You know, in the last book, you don't really know. Sometimes it's hard to decipher what's real and what's not real, because it's all about his psychosis and him like coming to terms with himself. So, you know, he was such a success for her that she wants to apply, you know, whatever he was going through to this, because their cases are so similar. So she thinks what Mark did to come out okay might help him, you know?
Yeah. And she's connecting it all back to this Egyptian
Khonshu
god mythology. And how do you always say that name? I can never say it right.
Khonshu.
Okay. I want to pronounce every letter, and you know, I'm just not following the rules of American English here. But anyway, she ends up going to the history museum. She's strolling through, you know, the Egyptian history section, and she starts to develop this theory that if Egyptian mythology worked for Spector, it could work for her patient 86. This nameless military patient, which was kind of bugging me, because if you're in the military, there's no way you're ever erasing your identity ever. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Or they've just like classified his name. That was just kind of weird.
Unless they erase it.
That was my only like really nitpick up to this point about the story, other than not seeing Moon Knight yet. But yeah, the next few pages we just get a montage of sorts of various Egyptian gods. It gives us a quick little mini history lesson about what some different ones stood for, until she ultimately stumbles upon a statue of Ra, and that's Amon-Ra, and he's basically like a bird-looking dude-faced guy, the sun god in the Egyptian mythology. So this is the one she's like fixated on here at this point, and she's going to bring this back to Ravencroft. She doesn't take any items or anything per se. She's just like inspired by this giant golden-esque statue in the museum. I don't know if it's gold or glowing or what's going on there, but
it's probably gold. They were really big on gold in Egyptian culture.
Yeah, they like the gaudy stuff. But anyway, we bring all this back to Ravencroft, and she meets up with patient 86 again, who looks a little like Jesus, basically. And they're at the asylum, and she makes this entire connection with, what is it? Kenoshu?
Khonshu. Yeah, Khonshu.
Khonshu. Okay, I'm gonna get that right. I'm gonna get that right. So with Khonshu, and she gets basically into a detailed explanation about what this all means to the patient. What I don't the connection I have a hard time making is she wants to use Ra. She wants to like have him connect with this Ra. I don't understand what Kenoshu has to do with it, other than aren't they like brothers or something like that?
Khonshu and Amun-Ra, yeah, they're family. Like kind of like Greek gods. You know, every polytheism, most of the gods are family.
Because when they go for this stroll and she's explaining things to him, you can see like images of these two behind them, Kenoshu on the left,
Yeah, Khonshu and then Ra
and Ra on the
following them
right.
around.
Yeah, it's really crazy, crazy part. I like that part. And then he starts remembering through this, experience and bringing up of this God stuff, flashes to his past. So this is like troops in his fellow troops in his military unit that were like picking on him and beating on him. We find out some details about that, basically what they did to him to trigger him to snap and really kind of kill them. You see he was kind of beat as a child. He awakens again and they're back in his room and he's given all this reading material about Egyptian arts and history, Egyptian gods. Is this his case file she hands him as well? That's on the desk?
No, it's Mark's. It's Moon Knight's case
Mark's
file.
Okay, so she's trying to make this entire connection and open his eyes to her previous patient, basically, and he's all in on it. He's reading it all. You see him crying, looking at this picture of Moon Knight, pretty crazy. Then we get really crazy because we're sitting in this white room full of mirrors that don't look like they're reflecting anything, and either mirrors or windows, I don't know. And it's Dr. Emmett, right? She just looks all sexed up a little bit, kind of in this crazy futuristic looking dress. When all these zombies just start crawling on her desk and through this door, pulling her out into the hallway. And then you see Moon Knight come out of nowhere and just start ripping them limb from limb. Like he's got one dude by the throat. He's got one dude ripped in half at the torso. Looks pretty sweet. He's in his old school all white uniform.
There's like a glow to it. Like you could tell it's kind of a dream, and it everything has like a little hue around it.
Yeah, and so he stops all these zombie dudes, takes his mask off. You see he's a zombie, like he's about to bite Dr. Emmett. And then she wakes up from this dream. And what the hell is cookie butter? Did they mean batter? Is this a misprint? Because I've never heard of cookie butter, and I feel like I've now missed out on life because I want cookie butter on toast right now.
I look it up, but I thought the same thing. I was like, "What the fuck is cookie butter?" But I have no clue.
Yeah, so
but I'm assuming that might give you bad dreams before bed.
Yeah, anybody knows what cookie butter is? Let us know. I need that in my life if it's real, and I've never heard of it.
It is a real thing. It's like,
is it?
It's like peanut butter. Yeah, it's called. I guess I don't know. It's Biscoff creamy cookie butter spread. Trader Joe's cookie butter spread.
Is that like a British thing? What they call peanut butter instead of they call it cookie butter instead of peanut butter?
I think it's if they sell it at Trader Joe's, it might be like a high end, like Whole Foods hipster kind of food or something.
All right. Are there cookie chunks in it?
I don't know. It kind of looks like peanut butter. Like when I'm looking at the jar right now, and it just looks like a jar of peanut butter, but it says cookie butter on it. Maybe it tastes like. Oh, here it is. What is cookie butter? Is a food paste primarily made from speculous cookie crumbs, fat, sugar, and vegetable oil, condensed milk, or butter. So cookie crumbs made into paste.
All right. I might have to. I don't know if that sounds good anymore, but I still might have to try it. Anyway, I'll get back to the story. I just never heard it. It really like stopped my reading dead in its tracks. I was like, cookie butter, what?
What the fuck is that?
I just went with
thought the same
batter. I'm
thing.
like, yeah, if you ate a lot of cookie batter before bed, you'd be waking up having dreams and shitting too, probably. I don't know.
Most definitely. I've eaten my fair share of cookie batter.
Yeah. Anyway, we flash after the crazy, where were we? After the crazy dream ends, she goes back to Ravencroft. She confronts patient 86. He's basically like hung up a bunch of Egyptian stuff all over his room. You see, he's really into this. He wants to continue like this therapy. But he sends the doctor home for the day, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's like, oh, I'll be spending the day in meditation, so I don't need you right now.
Yeah, so he basically sends her home and she goes on her way. She meets up with this different doctor. They have this chat. My notes, I kind of was like skipping random parts in my notes here. So she has a discussion with a colleague and she receives this afterwards, this ominous warning from this crazy dude. Is basically the point of the scene.
Well, she's at a military hospital where he was after he got out of the service, and that was his doctor when he first had his break when he was overseas.
Okay, all right. And yeah, she leaves the room talking to this doctor and runs into another military patient out in the hallway, who said, basically, stay the hell away from this dude. He started this fire without matches, with no lighter. That like this guy's going crazy because of what he knows this guy did. I don't think he was there because he killed everybody that was there when he snapped, from what I know in the story.
Yeah, I think he might have been like a spectator or something, because he's like, we all know the truth. He's like, they had him tied up naked. He's like, how could he have possibly started a fire when he was tied up with no matches?
Yeah, so the workers at the hospital pull one of those things where they end up dragging the crazy dude away from the doctor they think is just going crazy, but is really kind of telling you the truth, one of those cliche type of things.
But then, Bobby.
as that's all going down, she gets a text message saying, "Get back to Ravencroft, emergency, immediately, get back here." And she arrives into the room with patient 86, who has now bitten off somebody's nose and painted the room with blood and Egyptian symbols, like there's that eye symbol, triangles, what look like boobs, spider looking things, I don't all sorts of stuff all over the place. She's like, why would you do this? And he says, when I revealed myself, she didn't believe. So she knows something else is going on here. Like, I don't know, something has obviously, they're taking him over, or he remembers now how to access what he accessed back in the military and his initial snap. Egyptian and Moon Knight mythology, all interconnecting. And you see his eyes basically light up on fire with the doctor in the room. He says, Kenoshu is nothing next to me, as he bursts the entire room into flames, and himself as well. So he's covered in just flame. He's basically Amon-Ra at this point, like possessed by Amon-Ra.
His avatar.
He's the entity, holding the god in, and lights up this entire hospital just in flames. You see that person just on fire in the background. You see hands sticking up out of flame. The doctor's kind of left alone in the room, still on fire a little bit, like she needs to stop, drop, and roll now. But she just says, "Dear Lord, Amon-Ra." And, this is something that she did, basically caused it all, connecting the dots for this guy to access these powers again. So yeah, he basically says, I'm going to go after, he's got beef with Kenoshu. He wants to get rid of him, kill him. That's Mark Spector. I can't say it. It's going to be like continuity to me forever until, this book's over again. But he just walks out of the fire unharmed. Like, his hands are still burned, but that's it. None of the rest of his body, except his eyeballs, are on fire. And you just see a flashback again to the people he lit up on fire throughout his life. Like apparently he accessed these powers when he was a kid at one point, when he was getting beat, obviously in the military when he was getting beat down, and now for a third time in the hospital with the help of this doctor. The final splash page is the hospital / psychiatric center just up in flames with these firefighters wrapping everything up and pushing the lone survivor out on a cart. And it is something out of Eric Shea's nightmares. It is Dr. Emmett with no skin on her body, like burnt down to the muscle, missing an eyeball. Her teeth are still white. But that's about it. She looks like a hot mess, Oof. A burn victim survivor with no sort of quality of life left in her future. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, none.
Just kill me if I am like that, and my family won't kill me. Trevor, just come pull the plug, will you? God damn it! Because I don't want to live if I look like that. You know?
No.
Yeah. Buy, borrow, or forget for Moon Knight 188. I don't know. I told you before we started, this is very reminiscent of the legacy issue for Black Panther, but the bonus and the separation between the two is that this one isn't, it's continuing a previous series in a connected story, but it's not reliant on everything that happened before it.
Nope.
It's a brand new story with a brand new villain that you get basically an origin story for, really in the theme and idea of Moon Knight anyway. So you know, he's not in the story, but he's operating in the background the entire time. You only really see him in a dream sequence, but it just didn't bother me as much as it did in Black Panther because the story was more enjoyable. You know, I had more fun with the craziness. Like I guess it's also a little more tolerable because I know I'm signing up just for a bonkers time when I read a Moon Knight title.
Yeah.
So you know, I give it a little more leeway than I would when I go to a Black Panther book and I don't see Black Panther. I feel ripped off, as opposed to like this. Like I just don't feel as butthurt about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the art was good too. It felt very indie like. You know, it's not like a classic Marvel style, but it suits the tone of the story and what all went down. And you know, it was just crazy and cool. And, you know, you get me when you start talking about Egyptian gods and it's kind of like a little American Godsy, you know, avatars on Earth walking around doing shit and fucking each other up. You can sign me up for that. I like that story. So yeah, I don't know. It's a buy for me. I liked it better than Black Panther. It just read better. The art was on par with it, you know, and Moon Knight's a character I just like better, a little better. His stories just come off more interesting and not so much the samey because you can basically do whatever you want with the dude because he's nuts.
Yeah, I loved it. I really did love how in a way with Dr. Emmett and Mark, the only things that like really pulled from the last series were Dr. Emmett and Mark being cured. Other than that, it didn't rely on the past story at all. It was really a fresh jumping on point. And you get a brand new villain. I like that they created a brand new villain just for this story. You know, I think it makes me curious as it says, you know, nobody knows his real name. Like the guy who was in the army mental hospital who grabbed Dr. Emmett and was like, you know, there's something wrong. You know, he started that fire with no matches. He called him the nameless one. You know, so I know and the title of the story is "Crazy Runs in the Family." You know, so it really makes you wonder. You know.
But if they know, I guess they don't know they're trying to find out his past. Just the whole nameless patient 86 thing's driving me a little crazy because if you're in the military, there's no way you're going anonymous when you get out.
No.
Especially if you're kicked out, unless the military wants it that way. So
unless you did some like Black Ops stuff, they wipe your memory. I mean,
like we're talking some sci-fi shit here.
Yeah. But I was very excited when I found out Jason Burrows was coming on because I read Alan Moore's book Providence and the art was just so good, and I was like, this is going to be great for Moon Knight. I can't wait because he's always done like these types of stories, like weird horror Lovecraftian stories. So it's nice that they brought him over for this because it really fits his style. And I just loved this book. I loved everything about it. Dr. Emmett in the last book, Mark thought she was like Emun Tet. She thought she was an avatar for another Egyptian god, but you never really know if it's real or if it's just Mark's psychosis. That book was just a total fucking mindfuck.
Yeah.
But here it's really clear, you know. Now you know, like she's just this regular doctor lady, and she's not very good at her job. And Mark cured himself through this, so it was also her biggest mistake trying to apply what happened with Mark Spector to this guy, because look what it ended up doing to her in the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. She really screwed up. Like it just goes to show you. Not that I'm analyzing anything on a doctor type level, but you know, she luckily met a hero the first time she applied this strange method to somebody's psychosis, and now she's just meeting somebody who's a murderer, and she's only aiding in his craziness. You know what I'm saying? So it's pretty cool how it worked on both levels.
She's turning him back on. They are. They're like complete opposites. And you know, Khonshu's a dick, and sort of like he's always been a dick, and Mark kind of always keeps him in check. And but this guy, you could just, you know, he's probably just going along with what his god wants him to do, you know, which is murder fucking people, and he's fucking nuts because they are in contact with their god, you know, like Mark talks to Khonshu all the time. I'm sure this guy talks to Amun Ra. We just haven't seen it yet.
In the Warren Ellis series, he would talk to that bird skeleton all the time.
Yeah, that's Khonshu. Yeah,
I would love it. Yeah, it was my favorite.
A dick, like he's always such a dick to him too, and like hitting other people. Like he'll go to other people and offer himself up for them to be his avatar if he doesn't like what Mark's doing, and then Mark has to like earn his way back. And he always puts him through all this like crazy shit. Like half of Moon Knight being a hero is him just trying to like keep Khonshu in check. And I'm sure we're gonna get, judging by this issue, I'm sure that's gonna be like really crazy going forward. And in the next issue, I'm sure we're gonna start off seeing what Mark's been doing. So it'll be like a first issue from Moon Knight's perspective, as this was introducing us to this pretty cool new villain. I really I love this. I'm a big Moon Knight fan, so this was a definite buy for me.
Yeah. So if you, I mean, Moon Knight is a flavor you have to. It's not Grant Morrison-y, but it's a crazy book that you have to be in the mindset for. So there's people in the camp of, it's just nonsense stories, and you know, but Moon Knight is also somebody I enjoy as a character, so I get down with it. But anyway, if you're looking for more of us guys, we're going to talk three more Marvel books to be exact, later tonight for the Marvel Madness Comics podcast. So find us there. If you're looking for some more Marvel chat, but we're going to sign things out here. You can also find us on Twitter. I'm at Beamer3660. Trevitt, where are you, man?
I am at Afronaddict.
And we will talk to you guys next week. Poll goes up on Monday, so look for that. But party's over, and we'll talk to you then.
Peace
out.